Welcome to Sure Jan Podcast. I'm your host, Janice M., where we'll be talking about dating, sex, relationships, throw a little self-help, and figure out what it's like dating in your 20s and 30s. And let's get real about what it's really like. Let's chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sure Jan Podcast. I'm your host, Janice M., and I hope everyone out there is having an amazing day, amazing week, and if you aren't, I am sending you positive vibes. What's up, everyone? Happy New Year. Feliz Navidad. All the good things that I missed since we last talked last time. A lot's been fucking going on. I have done speed dating. Your girl got some dick. What else has been going on? I've actually been utilizing the apps, I guess, in the correct way, because I feel like I haven't really been doing the apps right. I feel like, I don't know if it's like the pandemic, like my mind went blank. I'm not fucking sure. Like my mind went blank on how like to operate in the dating world. I don't know. I feel like I was trying to, when I was trying it the first couple times, I should say, because I feel like this has been a like revolving door of me being like, I'm on the apps. I'm not on the apps, all that good stuff. But I mean, honestly, I've been trying to put myself out there. Hopefully I'm not like kind of jinxing myself into the universe. I feel like I always try and keep, if I have like a date or I have something coming up like that, I always try and keep that to myself, because I feel like I jinx myself, because I feel like when I tell people like, oh, I'm going on a date, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, it either doesn't happen or jinx it somehow. So normally I don't like to like give this information ahead, but you know. And yeah, so I just kind of, I don't know, I feel like I just don't really say it because I just feel like I jinx myself, but I may have some dates coming up and, you know, we'll see how that goes. I'm trying, you know, within this new year kind of to be, you know, really emphasize putting myself out there, really making attempts to, you know, go beyond my norm of what dating is, right? While I was telling you guys I did some speed dating, I'm gonna get into like how that was, that experience, all that good stuff, you know. And so I feel like I'm more confident in this dating journey and this new year than I was last year. I feel like I've shared with you guys before, or if you're new and you know, this is like your first episode that you're listening to. I lost my dad over 10 years ago. Last year was a 10-year anniversary. And I thought I was in a better headspace. Like going into the new year, I feel like January was such a like good month for me, and then February hit, and then which February is his like anniversary month, and actually I'm recording on the 23rd. Literally in 2 days is tomorrow is his anniversary of his death. So yeah, so anyways, like last year I didn't think it was going to be such a big toll on me and like kind of really fuck with me in a sense of like where I was at mentally. So I feel like I thought I was giving like dating a chance, and I thought I was like moving through the motions, but I feel like I was kind of like grieving him all over again, which is kind of weird to say because it's been 10 years and I feel like I was kind of re-grieving him. And I just felt like I wasn't in a good headspace to be like fully get myself into dating or even try. So any opportunity, if a dude gave me the ick, if like a dude said something remotely left or it didn't work out right, I was like, okay, I'm all set. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm okay with like still being single and still kind of doing my thing, right? So it's just, I don't know. It's been weird. I just feel like in December, like this, like couple months ago, I really was just kind of like, all right, we just need to get out of this hump that we're in. I don't know what this like freaking hump that we're in, that we're not getting this like dating experience that we want. And it's not like I'm like, you know, I feel like I have a good personality. I think I'm like, you know, I'm not bad looking, you know what I mean? I'm like, what's like the disconnect? I'm like, I'd be like a bomb ass girlfriend. Like, what's the disconnect there? Like, what's going on? Like, why am I not like connecting or trying to like, where are these guys? Like, why am I seeing like at one point, I have like these two girlfriends that are single, and they were going on date after date after date after date. And I'm just like listening to their stories and I'm like, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And I was in the car with my friend, and her and I were sitting in the car, and I was just kind of like talking to her about Hinge, and I was just kind of like, I was like, Hinge sucks. I'm like not really impressed with Hinge. And I said the last two guys that I got involved with Hinge were like a shit show, and it just wasn't great. So I was like, I don't really have great experiences with the app. So we were like talking about it, and you know, she was just kind of like, well, what are you swiping on and what are you doing this? And I'm like, you know, I don't really feel like I'm using Hinge right. And she was like, why do you say that? I was like, honestly, the only guys I really talk to are guys that are liking my shit. And then if I mutually find them attractive, like that's the people that I'm engaging with, right? Or if I find like interest in what their page has or something like that, like I'm gonna, you know, reach back out or, you know, initiate the conversation. But I wasn't going on Hinge, looking at guys' profiles, liking them, waiting for like a response and like going about it that way. I don't know if it was like something subconsciously that I was thinking in my mind, like, oh, because they liked me, I already had that validation that they like, that the match was already there. And if I like mutually felt the same way, then I was like, okay, like I'm already in a space where I'm just like, oh, I don't know, like, or like, I don't know, a weird sense of rejection. I'm like, you know, trying to process why I, you know, how I approach Hinge that way. But, you know, moving forward, I was just kind of like, okay, I was like, what app did I have a little bit more success in? It's Bumble, which is like weird because it's us that like, it's the female that are like engaging with like the men on the website. Like we're the ones that are like starting the conversation, which honestly, I really hate that. However, like it's one of the more successful, dating apps that I'm on right now, that I'm actually getting interest. I'm actually having conversations with people. You know what I mean? So yeah. So December, I decide, okay, I'm going to re-download my apps. I'm going to really give it like my actual all moving forward in like my dating journey, like starting in 2024. I'm not going to like beat around the bush, or if a guy like wants to meet up, like I'm actually going to, you know, taking that step and meeting up with him and doing all that stuff. So that's where my head was at. So, all right. So like moving to that moment, fast forward to like December, I get on the apps. I start talking to this guy. We're talking, this is kind of like during the holidays. I was at a friend's, holiday party and wasn't great. But I ended up leaving early because it kind of was like a lot of people didn't go. It was like kind of like during like the flu-ish season, so like a lot of people didn't show up to our party, so like a lot of people weren't there. So like normally her parties are pretty fun, but I just feel like because there weren't a lot of people there, it just wasn't that great. But I was in like some like town that's, I don't know, 30 minutes from me. And we were texting and I realized that he was seeing like a comedy show, and where I was and where he was going to be, we were like going to be 10 minutes away from each other. Right. And I ended up leaving early. I ended up not like going out to meet with him because I was like, okay, not going to stay around to meet with some dude that like I don't even know. Like I'm going to go home because I'm not going to fucking stick around here. So I end up like going home, whatever. And I tell him like, hey, like I went home, like doesn't look like I'm going to be able to meet up with you anyways, whatever. Like I'm staying home. And y'all, why did this man, like 2 hours later, fucking drunk call me? And I don't know if it's just, it was one of those things where I was just like, bitch, are you lonely? Like, why are you entertaining this conversation? Like, what's happening right now? Because normally, like, I probably would have hung up or not picked up or whatever. But, like, for some weird reason, I picked up and I entertained the conversation. He did make me laugh, and I was like, okay, like, all right, whatever, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, inside me, like, inner me was like, ugh. Like, I don't want to, like, give this man a chance. But I was like, whatever. I kept it pushing. We ended up meeting up, like, 2 weeks later. So, into the new year. I don't know what was happening. It was, like, the week that we ended up meeting up. Like, so many things were happening. Like, I had, like, a family emergency that happened that week. My car was, like, fucked up that week. It was, like, a lot of things that were happening. And so I was like, is the universe trying to tell me not to meet up with this kid? Because we were, like, planning on meeting, like, that following Thursday. And, like, literally the Thursday that I was supposed to meet up with him, my fucking battery in my car, like, died. I had to buy a whole new battery. It was this whole fucking thing. Spend mad money. And I was just like, do I even really want to go out on this date with this dude? I'm, like, already in an annoyed mood because I had to call AAA to do all this shit. And I ended up saying fuck it. And, like, I could kind of tell, like, he was like, fuck, is she gonna, like, cancel on me? Like, because, like, he was trying to meet up with me another day during that week, and I kind of was, like, not feeling it. But yeah, anyways, I'm, like, rambling, but we end up I end up meeting up with him. We go to a bar. Everything's, like, going. Like, he's making me laugh. He was a lot, like, better looking in person than compared to his pictures. I thought, like, I was like, wow, okay, this guy's kind of pretty good. Like, he's pretty good looking. I texted, like, my friends, and I was like, he, like, went to the bathroom at one point, and I, like, texted my friends. I was like, okay, like, he's actually not that bad looking. Like, I'm actually attracted to this man. And prior to, like, you know, when we were on the apps, like, him and I had, and, like, we've talked on the phone, like, prior to that drunken conversation, him and I have had multiple other conversations on the phone and texting and all that shit, but we were, like, you know, we're both into, like, the casual dating type of situation, because that's kind of, like, really where I'm at right now. I really want to casually date. I don't, like, if one of the people that I'm casually dating leads to something like a more serious and exclusive type of thing, then great. But if it doesn't, I'm really cool with the casual dating, and then, you know, bitch getting her back blown out. You know what I mean? On a like more daily basis, not like a whole fucking year, months going by that, like, your girl's not getting anything. You know what I mean? Y'all know the struggle. Like, I did a whole ass episode talking about, like, me getting laid after, like, a whole year not getting laid. So, like, y'all know my struggles, you know my struggles. So I ended up, oh my God. So I'm going to get into, like, our first date ended up becoming, like, it was, like, drinks, and then we ended up having a nightcap. I feel like I was, like, a lady in the street on this date, and then, y'all know the phrase, lady in the street freaking the sheets. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm gonna get into, like, what happened after drinks were over and our nightcap. I'm gonna kind of get into our nightcap, because y'all know, like, I tell y'all the like, juicy details, you know? So, like, let's get into that story. I'll go from once drinks were done. So before I kind of get into, like, what happened that night, I wanted to kind of, like, give you all a little bit of a background of, like, him and I had talked, you know, for, like, 2.5 weeks before we met, and we had, like, a lot of conversations, kind of, like, of, like, how this is gonna go, like, what him and I, like, want forward, all that good stuff. So we were like, hey, if we vibe, like, definitely down for a nightcap and all that shit. So when after drinks and stuff like that, I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, like, I'm down. Like, I'm like feeling this dude, like I'm down, whatever. And we end up taking his car. I left my car like where we were at the bar, and I ended up getting in his car, whatever. Don't worry, like 6 people have my location. I already told them what I was doing. So always have that backup, ladies. Always have that fucking backup. Even if, God forbid, if something happens, at least like somebody has my actual location. You know what I mean? Like apps, technology is amazing. But yeah, so I ended up getting in his car. And so we're walking to his car, whatever. Before I get into his car, we're walking to his car. And he ends up like grabbing me by the waist and kind of like holding on to me. And then like kind of like slides his hand to like, interlock my hand so that we can like we're holding hands while we're walking and stuff like that. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is like kind of cute. This is like really cute, whatever. All right, like feeling it a little bit, whatever. And then so I was like, okay, I'm into it. We get into his car, and I was kind of playing coy during drinks, and I, trying to be like, oh, like, we'll see if I'm going to do this nightcap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to, like, off the bat, sorry, I don't want to, like, make him think, like, oh, yeah, he's, like, I'm still going to make you think, like, maybe I may not come back, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You know what I mean? I don't need you to know. I don't need to give you that satisfaction just yet. I want to, like, marinate the drinks and kind of see where I'm at first. You know what I mean? Not get, like, his hopes up, like, in the beginning. You know what I mean? Just kind of feel it out for a sec. So he was kind of like teasing me, like when I got into the car, about like how he was like, yeah, you were trying to be like super hesitant, whatever, about it. And so he ends up grabbing my face. We were making out in the car. I feel like I was like taken back to like my like early 20s, like late teen years, whatever, making out with like, your boyfriend in the car, like, so like, or outside your house. So like your parents don't see you. Like, that's kind of how it felt. And I was like, I don't know. It was like, it was cute. And like, y'all know, like, I haven't gotten dick in a long time. So like everything was tingling. Like, my chest was tingling. My vagina was tingling. Like everything was tingling. My fingers, my lips, everything was like tingling. Right. So I'm just like, I'm so into it. And, so we start making out, whatever, and he's like, okay, like, let's go. Like, he's like ready. I'm like, okay, we're definitely gonna have sex. Like, it's already in my mind, like, we're into it, whatever. All right, so, I do have coworkers that do listen to this podcast, so I am gonna talk about, like, some raunchy shit, so if you wanna skip it, or if you don't like to hear the raunchy stuff, skip a little bit ahead, skip a little bit. So yeah, so, I haven't done this since I was, like, I don't know, like 21 or like 22, which is a pretty kind of older age. So like I've done this, but, yeah, I ended up giving him roadhead on his way to his place. It kind of happened. It took me by surprise, like that I like, followed through, did all these things, whatever, followed through with it and all that stuff. It just kind of took me by surprise, but I ended up giving him roadhead. I was very pleased with what I saw. So I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna feel it. Like, I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like even when guys, like, I did see a picture of what it looked like before, because we both had a drunk sexting night, whatever, and things. Yeah. Anyways, I already kind of knew what it was before, but like guys, I've seen men like take pictures of their like, or I've received pictures of men's like peens. Like they send me pictures of their peens, and like they are not the same. Like the real life and this picture, it's like, bitch, did you AI this? Like this is artificially like fixed. Like what the fuck is going on here? But yeah, so wasn't AI. I was like, oh, okay, like I can work with this. This is something I can work with. And we ended up going back to his place. We take a shot, and like literally we're in his kitchen and stuff like that. And we take a shot, and then like he literally just grabs me, and then like it's getting like hot and heavy in the kitchen, right? And I'm just like, okay, like I'm very much into this, guys. I'm like, I haven't gotten laid. I'm already like, I'm like, all right, I am ready to go. We end up like having sex, whatever. It was actually really fun. I enjoyed it. And I ended up seeing him a couple more times after that. So like we've seen each other a couple more times. I still kind of talk to him, like, but for me, I feel like I'm in a space where like I hate, like, for a while, like now I'm doing other things, but for a bit, he was like the only person that I was like mainly talking to, and was the only person that was like capturing my attention and capturing like, what, kind of like talking to me and like really me wanting to see him and stuff like that. So it kind of became like, I'm like, I don't want to confuse my feelings here because I don't really like know him like that. Like, this is supposed to be casual, and I don't want to try and develop feelings if this is like, you know what I mean? Because he's just like my main focus. And like sometimes when people are your main focus, you start to like confuse things. You know what I mean? I don't know. But hopefully I'm making sense with what I'm saying. But I was like, I need to do something different. I need to like really get myself in a better like space and like put myself back out there. Like, once I started talking to him, like I wasn't as active on the apps, and I was just like, why am I not active on the apps? This man is like, he's not my man, and I'm not like, we're not dating, like we're not like in a relationship or anything like that. Like I still can be on the apps. Like I can still do whatever the fuck I want on the apps, So I ended up going back on the apps, whatever, and then I actually ran up on like this company was doing a speed dating event, and I was like, you know what? I've never done speed dating before. So fuck it. Let's do it. So I end up signing up for it. They ended up like really selling out of this event. There were like 87 people there. Like there were a lot of people there. I didn't meet every single guy, which kind of sucked. But I had about 13 dates. 2 guys got my number. I definitely would do it again. I thought it was like a very interesting experience. So you literally sit at a table, or like the place was like packed. Like girls were like sitting at bars and all that stuff. So it's mainly like the female will be at a table, and the men are the ones that like are shifting over. And so I was like literally, it kind of sucked because I was like the first table. I was like right at the head. And I was like I went on like the 13 dates that I went on. And like, it was like some guys were like dry. Like some conversations were dry. And I was like, thank God this is like 5 minutes. Like, thank God we are only talking for 5 minutes. It's not more than that, because I'm like, if I needed to talk to you for more than 5 minutes, like I probably would like leave this thing, because this is like excruciating. Like there were at least 2 of them. It was like kind of excruciating. Like I felt like, I don't know, like watching paint dry would be probably a little bit more entertaining than those conversations. But I do feel like I was really talkative, which I was very proud of myself, because normally I'm very I'm not as loose with like dates. I'm more like I try to observe it, like feel your energy to see if and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna match the energy that you're giving me, kind of go from there. That's not normally how dates work for me. But oh, okay. Also, like, pause speed dating story for a second, and back to the guy that I was like casually dating, whatever. So we don't get confused. I was like trying to think. He's an electrician, so I was like, we're just gonna call him electrician so that we know, like, when I refer to him like down the line, who I'm referring to. So yeah. All right. Fast forward back to speed dating. There was a actual TikTok influencer who was the host of speed dating, and I think that's why like it got a lot of people, because like I feel like speed dating, like normally I don't feel like they get a lot of people, and then you know you like there's so many elements to it, right? Because you have like age range, right? You know, if it is it going to be diverse, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that you have to like, you know, or like, why are people doing speed? Like, are people like kind of on the same level as you? Are people like, it's even like in like much worse situations than you are in, that are experiencing this too? Like, are you gonna find a match? Are you like not gonna find a match? It's just like so many things, and so many like, I feel like so many elements to it that is just that you have to like put into perspective when you're, you know, going about doing it and stuff. And so, yeah, it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I definitely would do it again. Even though I had those 2 dud, dates, it was like good to experience it, because even if like the experience for me is like what really matters, I was just like, wow, this was like such an amazing, experience that I definitely would do this again. Yeah, it was cool. I thought that was great. And one of the guys like did hit me up. I don't know. It like even the 2 guys that I did, like, they got my number. Only one of them has texted me, and him, I'm not really feeling it, but like it was just nice to like get that, you know what I mean, to have that. But it was just like, I don't really see this going anywhere. This could like, he could be like a friend. Like I can definitely see this becoming like some type of friendship type of thing, but like definitely nothing more than what that was. You know what I mean? Like we went on our 5-minute date, and that was about it. And that's as far as romantically as it's gonna go with me and this guy. So yeah, that was speed dating. I did go back on the apps and like actively, like, you know, kind of have the same mindset, like really like push whatever. I have 2 dates coming up. I have one like that's coming up on Sunday, hopefully, we'll see. And then I am having another one next week. So we shall see. I'm still going to actively be on these apps. I'm still going to actively just get myself, you know, in this better headspace, and, you know, yeah, be more present, be more active about it. Just kind of like not, you know, I just feel like I was kind of being lazy. I was lazy dating. Like, you know, I'm not going to find my man like laying in my bed. Like, he's not going to magically like come into my house. Like, the only way he would is like if he broke into my house or something. I don't know. Like, that's the only way like I would meet a man right now, or like he'd magically appear. I don't fucking know. But it like wasn't, the route that I was taking was not working for me. And I like, you know, the whole casual dating. I like the texting of somebody, like, you know, actively texting, like having somebody to, you know, I don't really love that I do this, but I am a very big drunk texter, especially like if I have like a person that I can like, I'm comfortable enough that I can drunk text. Like I wouldn't drunk text a random person, or like a guy that I don't really normally like have those type of conversations or interactions with. But if it's a dude that like either we've fucked, we've hung out, or something along those lines, and I'm really comfortable with you, I'm definitely gonna fucking drunk text you. Electrician, I like drunk texted him like the other week. Not my proudest moment, but yeah, I drunk texted him the other week, and yeah, but I enjoy it. I think it's just so like I think the whole like experience of like texting and someone texting you back and the whole like excitement of like going out on dates, seeing the person, doing all that stuff, and then but still like still having your freedom, still having like, you know what I mean? Like I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like I'm not held down to this one person. Like that's kind of like really where I'm at. I don't really want a relationship. I'm not opposed to having a relationship. I'm 34, you know what I mean? I just turned 34. I am, I do want to have kids. I do want to be married one day. I do want to have like, a big family. I do want to do all that stuff. I'm not saying I don't. I just don't feel like, because I'm 34, everything needs to be like bum rushed. I need to rush to find a relationship. I need to rush to get pregnant. I need to rush to do all these things, If like natural birth doesn't work out for me, there's always adoption. There's always other options. You know what I mean? There's never like, it's never like not a possibility or not a thing that is like not a part of my future, So I feel like that's kind of where I'm at in like how I want my dating journey to go, like within this new year, especially it's been like kind of going okay. I think I'm making much more progress like within these past like 3 months, 3 months than I've had like within like the whole year of 2023. Like I really didn't make an effort. I really I thought I was, you know what I mean? Like I said, I think the anniversary just like really fucked me up. I think my head was just not in the greatest space, and it's tough. I don't know if like it's really tough to put yourself in that position unless you like unfortunately are like a part of like that club of like losing a parent or losing somebody like really, really significant or something like that. These are just things that, when anniversaries or things happen, it just starts to stir up a lot of shit in your mind and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of like where my headspace was at. And, I was like, okay, I'm in such a good headspace. Like a lot of, doing a lot of self-reflecting, a lot of, I don't know, taking care of me, like a lot of self-care, doing a lot of stuff for self-care, just really working on myself and trying to get myself in a better headspace, like going out, like actually going out with friends, like not just sitting my ass down and doing, nothing and, just, yeah, doing nothing. So just like putting myself really more out there than I was before. And now I'm seeing like, I don't know. I feel like there's an extra pep in my step. It's so much nicer because I just feel like I'm in such a better headspace. And I feel like I was fooling myself and I was like really kidding myself with thinking that last year I was like ready to do this. Last year, like I was in a good headspace. Like last year mentally I was there. Like I wasn't. And I was like kidding myself. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things went into the back burner. Like the podcast, like this podcast, like went to the back burner. Like everything just kind of, to the point where people were like, are you done doing this podcast? And I'm like, no, like I love this. Like I love doing this. As like it may not like, because like sometimes my episodes are a little sporadic. I will not lie, they are. But I love doing it and I enjoy like, I have new merch that just came out, I just revamped my website. Like I just am putting effort into, the podcast, and I've just been, trying to put effort into things that like I loved that I just have been putting in the back burner because just my mental like headspace just was not there and wasn't into it. And I was like things that I loved doing, I was like pushing off. I'm like, I'm going to record this day. I'm going to record that day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then like it'd be that time and then I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? I just like, it was tough. It was really tough. So like trying to navigating through going, that headspace and trying to mentally get myself out of that and, being in a better headspace and like moving forward and, making myself happy and doing things that make me happy. I honestly feel like, especially in like society, like there's such a big pressure of like how you're supposed to date when you're older, and where your mindset should be at when you're older. You know what I mean? Like, I have friends that have kids. I have friends that have just gotten married. Friends that are engaged, soon to be married. I have cousins that are younger than me that are like, you know, having kids, getting married and stuff like that. And me as the older cousin, or me as the friend, you know what I mean? I went to my friend's son's first birthday. And one of her family members came up to me and was like, oh, like, everybody's like pregnant, like, or having kids, like, what's going on? Like, when is it going to be your turn? And you know what I mean? As like, to me, as like a woman, that is like such a hard thing to like hear and be asked. It sucks. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, life is not working for me in that way that like kids are in my present right now. Like, I'm happy being the fun aunt. Like, I'm happy being that. Like, I'm happy, you know, experiencing like seeing my kids' friends grow up, like, and seeing my family's, like, my cousin's child grow up. Like, I'm loving experiencing that. I'm loving being the aunt and, you know, the fun older cousin for them. Like, I'm loving that experience right now. And I just feel like because of how society works, it's just like there's so much fucking pressure. I feel like when I was like 32, like a couple years ago, in my mind, I was like, you know, by a certain time, I need to like put a fucking pep in my step. I need to like seriously date, find a man, get pregnant, have a family, get married, you know, however order that goes, whatever. And I need to start this process now because I'm only getting older. I'm not getting younger. I'm only getting older. And I need to start this process now. You know what I mean? And then you look like, you know, when you just have so many people in your fucking ear about it, like, when are you going to get married? You know, like, why aren't you dating? Like, why are you still single? What's going on? All this shit, you know what I mean? Like, people that are not in this dating world and have no idea what the fucking dating world is like, you know what I mean, can't really be like, oh yeah, do all these things, do all this. I'm like, the dating world is trash. It's garbage. It's not great. You know what I mean? It's like, there's certain points of it, like, can dating be fun? Absolutely. Can dating, like, can you find that person within, like, you know, the weeds of, like, all the garbage? Like, are you going to find, like, that diamond in, like, the garbage pile and stuff like that? Of course. Like, I'm not saying that these things are not going to be, like, these things don't happen, but it's, like, when, like, people that are in relationships and married and all that stuff are, like, literally looking at you and being like, why is this not working for you? And you're like, bitch, do you know what it's like out here? It's rough. It's fucking rough. When you, like, just don't know what people's intentions are, or, like, people lie about their intentions and say, like, they want something and then they don't want the stuff that they're saying they want. Like, I want a relationship, or I don't want a relationship. I want a friends with benefits, or I just want to just fuck you and go about my business and never talk to you again. Like, people, like, you just don't know where people's true intentions are. So it's just, dating is just it's a hit or miss. It's super hit or miss, you know? And, you know, the quality is not as great as they think it is out there, right? They kind of, I don't know if, like, reality TV, like, all these dating shows, like, glamorize, like, what dating is like, or dating should be this way, or whatever the case may be, but it's like, it's not. Like, it's nothing like this. Like, it's awful. That's probably why you have all these people going on these fucking dating shows, because, like, it's like, the dating apps aren't working. Like, what else? You know what I mean? Like, and it's a little hard to, I don't know, find people, like, in person too. Like, trying to come up to somebody and, like, meet somebody in person, it's very intimidating, one, right? It's very intimidating to just walk up to a stranger and just be like, hey, like, my name is blah, 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 and have a conversation, or I think you're really attractive. I would love to talk to you, love to get to know you better, and then go from there, right? I'm chicken shit. There's been many times where I've had a gorgeous man, like, in my face, and I, you know, in my mind, I was like, you you should sit your ass right here. Sit your ass right here. But it's like my mind is like, sit your ass down. You don't got this. But my vagina is like, bitch, take charge. Like, do it. You know, sometimes like, I'm like, my bad just like speaking the things I need for my mind to like get out of my mind. But I'm so in my head and I overanalyze like fucking everything. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm 34. Like, you know, I have friends that are around my age that are single. It's nice to just be around people that are like, you know, going through the same shit with you. It's tough to talk to somebody that's like in a successful relationship and is like really having, has that significant other and all that stuff. Like, it's tough to have these type of conversations with them because like they don't really understand. Like, it's like dating is not the same as it was when you were like initially dating your boyfriend or your girlfriend at the time, or like your husband or your wife or your partner or whatever. It's not the same anymore. It's fucking rough out there. It's tough as shit. And like the older you get, it's like, it's not like I feel like I was like naive when I was getting older. I was like, oh, maybe like older men will like more have their shit together, and these young guys that I'm dealing with that are my age, like clearly they don't have their shit together, so an older guy would clearly have his shit together, right? It's like, no. It don't matter. Like, if he ain't got his shit together, like, he ain't never gonna get his shit. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I've talked to men that are, like, 38, 39, like, 40, whatever. Like, you know, try and broaden my horizons, you know what I mean? Normally, I kind of, like, my cutoff for young is, like, about, like, 27, which is, like, pretty young. That's, like, because I'm, like, 7 years older than them. That's pretty young. And, like, the oldest I think I would do is probably, like, maybe, like, 42, 43. And it's just, like, the age range. Like, I met a guy that was, like, 28 that, like, really had his shit together and was, like, really mature and communicated very properly. And, like, our communication was great. Didn't work out, and we like separated amicably, and it was nice. Whereas like I've talked to a guy that's like 37, 38 that didn't know how to fucking communicate with me, and like his communication was awful, and he was so immature, and I'm like, how are you this age and this big ass age and you're like still acting like you're some like 22-year-old dude? Like, where the fuck are you at? Like, grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's like, it's rough. It's rough when you have to like literally weed through, go through all the weeds until you find like that beautiful flower that's just like in that shit, you know? It's tough. I just feel like, I don't know. The older you get, it just doesn't get better. When girls are like in their 20 something or whatever, and they're like, oh, like dating's rough and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh, I'm young, and I'm like, yeah, like embrace this. Like, I enjoyed like dating when I was younger, like, cause I didn't have a care in the world of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like hold it down. But I was like, I'm such a hopeless, like I'm deep down. I'm very like, I'm a hopeless romantic, right? I love all that shit. I love the lovey-dovey stuff. Like, love it. I love love, right? I'm very big fan on love. I know like, I say like dating's garbage and all that shit, but like, of course, like if I find that right person and we connect and, it grows into, a relationship and I fall in love with this person and all that good stuff, that's great. No one is saying I don't want to oppose that, whatever, but it's tough. Like, the pool is just like, it's like, it has pee in it. Like, the dating pool has pee in it. Like, it's contaminated. Like, all these things are just, like, the older you get, the more complicated things that can be, like, up in the mix, right? I'm 34, and any guy that, like, I feel like I want to be in a relationship with, selfishly, and I will admit this is very selfish of me to think this way, but, like, I would want, like, my first kid to be their first kid, right? If I were to have children, I would want to, like, our children to be each other's first. Right? I don't want to play stepmom to anybody's kids because that shit gets dicey and crazy as fuck. I've known people that have been in those type of situations where it's like, if you're the, partner of the bio parent, you have to take a back seat on, the actual parents of the child. Even though, like, you can be a parent to that. I'm not saying, like, non-bio parents are not, like, the actual parents that can make decisions. But normally when you're in a situation where you have, like, two active parents that are, like, either, have joint custody or, there's visiting, like, the custody's in a, they have, like, yeah, they have, like, joint custody or however the custody, like, situation is. Like, you're always, like, your opinion is gonna have to be, like, a second opinion. You know what I mean? It's never gonna be, like, the end-all factor of the opinion. And, like, that's something that, and it's, like, their child, I will always have a backseat to their child. I can understand having a backseat to, like, our child because, like, that's kind of how I would, like, that's like a more normal thing that kind of happens with couples when they have, like, kids, whatever. Like, the kid is kind of, like, the first, like, is, like, the number one priority. You know what I mean? That's, like, that's your child, like, number one priority, and I would always take a second, like, a backseat to that. So it's, like, it's a lot of things, and, like, understanding that you're always gonna have that backseat, It's always, like, it's always something. So, like, it's very important that you understand that you're always going to be number two. Like, you're never going to be number one. And, like, you're always going to take that backseat to the child, which is fine. However, that's something that if you're getting involved with somebody that has a kid, that's something that's important. And, like, and then how involved is the other the other parent? You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. It's a whole, like, can of worms, and it's, like, that's something that you mentally have to prepare yourself for. If you can do it and you do it successfully, like, I would love to have somebody, like, on the show that's, like, dating somebody, like, that has a child and that's in something, like, in a very successful relationship, and, like their co-parenting is great. You have a great relationship with, your spouse's, like, ex-partner, or, like, the parent of their, their kid, whatever. And then you, like, kind of go from there, it's tough. It's very tough to, try and navigate that. So, like, for me, I'm just kind of, like, that's something also I have to kind of consider when I'm dating, and, kind of, like, I guess, like, weeding through the guys that I'm interacting with and kind of figuring out, like, because there's a lot of guys, like, the older I get, I'm running into that, situation a little bit more, not saying I wouldn't get involved with anybody that has a kid, but that's just something that I would really have to, like, put myself in that space and put myself in that, like, really put myself in that headspace, and mentally get myself there, because you really have to, like, be really mentally mature, to handle something like that. That's a really big thing to, like, take on. And, I commend anybody that's, like, really into something successful. I just, personally, especially with my headspace right now, like, that's not for me. Not saying I'm opposed, like I said, just not really for me, I also feel like my mindset now, like, as I'm getting older and I'm dating, like, you kind of, like, understand, like, what your needs or the things that you want in a relationship more when, like, I feel like when you get more mature and, start to understand, like, what you actually need in a partner and what you want in a relationship, like, the older you get, I feel like your mind is more set on, like, actually what you want. I feel like sometimes when you're older, like, I mean, younger, especially, like, sometimes things are more glamorized a certain way, so you think this is, like, the type of stuff that you want or what you need in a relationship or need to, like, bring to the table for a relationship, it's one of those type of things. And then, like, that's something that's great while dating while you're older. Also, sometimes it can be a little riskier. For me, I watch Dateline like I literally, white noise is watching Dateline. Like, I can fall asleep to Dateline because Keith Morrison is literally, like, his voice is so freaking soothing. And I just enjoy, like, listening to him just talk. I enjoy, like, everybody's, like, nice monotone, like, voice. I just, like, love it. And that's also been a thing that's, like, for me, especially nowadays, like, everything's just so crazy. Like, you can get roofied. I remember, like, there was a time in Boston. I don't even know if it's, like, still happening, but there was a time in Boston where, like, there was a list of at least, like, 20 bars that girls were actively getting roofied at, right? That's, like, another fucking risk that, like, you take when you're putting yourself out there. Like, that's fucking crazy. Love bombing. Love bombing is a new fucking thing that's, like, I mean, I feel like people have love bombed in the past, but now that, like, we actually know what love bombing is and, like, actually know, like, the meaning behind love bombing, like, that's happening more often than normal. I feel like some people are like, I'm gonna feed you all the shit that I want to feed you, but, like, not really want to, because they want to manipulate you, because they want something out of it. Like, so they're gonna manipulate you to the point that they're like, I feel all these crazy feelings for you, when in fact, like, there's, like, a motive. There's an agenda behind, like, them love bombing you. You know what I mean? So it's more of a thing that, especially since this has happened to me, and I'm, like, I've been very aware of the signs of love bombing. I've kind of been a little bit, I wouldn't say it's made me a little bit more guarded than I would have normally been, since it's, like, kind of happened. It's just kind of like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, like, shame on me. Like, I should have, like, looked at the signs that this has happened to you before. Someone shouldn't be, like, feeding you all these great things. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Taking it slow is also great. That's why I feel like the whole getting to know somebody, and, like, when you're on dates, like, asking, like, the big questions, like, but taking it slow in a sense of, I don't feel like you need to rush to be like, we need to be in a relationship, or it's like, we need to have, like, the talk. Of course, we need to have, like, the talk to, like, define a relationship. Like, obviously, defining a relationship is, like, you don't want to wait too long to define it. What I mean by taking it slow, like, if you don't want to jump into being physical just yet, maybe taking it slow in that sense, or, maybe really, protect yourself in the process of taking it slow. Always protect yourself. I feel like sometimes I can get I'm very guarded sometimes, from past trauma. And so, like, when I'm in a situation, like, when I'm dating a guy or involved with a guy or something like that, I'm very cautious and I'm very guarded in a sense. I try to let my guard down a little bit, not completely, but a little bit, to the point where, I used to be so guarded, guys used to think, like, I wasn't into them. Like, because it seemed like I wasn't interested. Like, would we be on a date and I just would be so, like, nervous. I, like, didn't want to say the wrong thing, or, I would overanalyze the situation. So it, like, in their mind, like, I got it told to me more than once. So I was like, okay, clearly this is, like, something that I'm not aware that I'm doing. Whereas, they're telling me, you didn't seem interested in me. And in fact, like, I was very interested, but it's just kind of like how I was, presenting myself on the date, or how I was acting, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I kind of had to do a little bit more self-reflecting. Like, why did more than one person tell me this? Like, why did more than one person say, like, hey, girl, I don't know. Like, show a little bit of interest. Like, you're clearly doing something that's not showing interest, or, like, talk more, like, be more engaged in the conversation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had to really, like, try and, like, look back on these dates and figure out, like, what went wrong, and like one of the guys, I actually asked him, and he was like kind of told me, he was like, yeah, like I don't know, you didn't really seem interested in like kind of like what was happening, like I don't know. And I took that, I took what he said, and I kind of like, you know, fast forward, I feel like I try not to be fucking quiet during dates. I try and be as freaking engaged. I'm very big on like eye contact. I've been really, really trying to make a lot of eye contact when I'm talking to somebody, like very much engaged. I like to, when I'm talking to somebody, I don't know, I feel like hard eye contact sometimes can be really awkward. So sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, I'll like look other places, and it's not because like I am like lying. I know sometimes it's like a weird like lie tale, like telltale, whatever. Like if you lie when you're talking to somebody, you're like looking around or something. I just find it so awkward to look at somebody's face and look at somebody directly in the eyes. But I've been really, really like trying to go out my comfort zone and do that when I'm in when I'm like on these dates, and like try and get myself very more engaged. So, yeah, I've been trying to do that. So like, this is what, when you're dating while you're older, these are things that you start to pick up on. And these are like, even for me, maturely, like kind of recognizing that there was like a pattern that was happening, and like I was trying to create, like break this pattern that was happening. So like the next guy that I was interested wasn't giving me the same fucking spiel of, it didn't seem like you were interested in me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's like, it's a lot of things that you start to understand and start to like kind of make yourself very aware of, as I feel like as you get older and you mature, and like even while you're in relationships and experiencing things in the relationships as you're getting older, you're starting to recognize things that you didn't see as issues, or didn't think of when you were like dating while you were younger and stuff like that. Some people are a lot mature differently than others in relationships. Some people just kind of get it right away. And some people don't. So everybody matures differently. Everybody kind of like, has their own pace to how they mature, whatever, like, and especially in relationships, and like emotionally, being very emotionally available, being like understanding like what works and what doesn't work, and, like how to approach things and how to not approach things. Like you just kind of learn from experience. So like, I feel like going into this dating journey, even though like I'm 34 and like, realistically and like according to society, I should be married and already had my first kid, or already on my second, trying to be on my third, or whatever, or be in a like, have a house, have like a mortgage, have all this stuff. And I'm like, baby, in this economy, I don't know. It's tough. But it's like the pressure of that. It's so hard. And like when you get it from family, friends, like family of friends, like other people that like meet you, and they're just kind of like, what's going on? I'm like, if you understood how awful dating is, and like how like not ideal it was like back in the day, and like even, post pandemic, there's some people out there that still don't know how to fucking like have a conversation because they were like cooped up for like 2 years in their homes, and like didn't really like communicate with other people, or like, interact or anything along those lines. So, everybody's all fucked up. Some people were just trying to get into like the rhythm of the thing. Y'all remember that date that I had, like that Bumble video date that I had like a long ass time ago, where the guy gave like zero effort, and I was like, what the entire fuck is this? And I pretended like my phone, like something was going off my phone, and like I had to break it off with this man. Like it was just awful. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I get we're on a video chat, but baby, give a little bit of effort. Like, make it seem like I actually thought like you actually wanted to be a part of this date. I don't know. But it's, yeah. And that guy was older than me too, I think, at the time. And that was like a couple years ago, that the guy was older than me too. And I was like, what's happening? I don't know. But it's just a lot of like, the whole dating is just crazy, one. And having to ask the same questions over and over again, like trying to get to know people, like the whole freaking process of getting to know somebody is like a whole freaking thing within itself. Like it's a whole like thing. So yeah, it's just, I feel like the older you get, it's just, dating is just, it's not getting better. And I thought, like, I was like, maybe the older I get, it's just gonna get better. It just hasn't. It hasn't yet, so, you know. I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful, you know. I hope these next, like, couple dates are, you know, I hope these next couple dates are great. I connect. I have another person that I can, like, casually date, and, like, kind of go from there. I'm excited. You know, I'm really kind of proud of myself because this is really me, like, especially I would say within the past, like, year, really coming out of my, you know, really going beyond my element. Like, this is, like, way outside my comfort zone. Especially within the last year, I feel like I've been in this weird bubble. And I just haven't really, like, fully put myself out there. And so now that I'm doing it, I'm really proud of myself, honestly. Like, because I was like, look at you, girl. You get it. You do your thing. But yeah, it's a journey. I can't wait to, like, keep experiencing this with you guys. I can't wait to keep telling you on these the dates that I go on, the ones that are coming up. I can't wait to, like, talk to you guys about them. If things still keep going with electrician, you know, we'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for all good things. I'm only manifesting positive things for this, like, new year. Yeah, and I'm just ready to just have a kick-ass year and full of dating experience and giving you guys amazing stuff to talk about. Like, and, like, coming up with conversations, like really figuring out what, like, what's, like, you know, dating and, like, you know, kind of, I want to bring more guests on this show and more, you know, maybe, like, a couple of my friends have shown interest in wanting to be on the show, and, you know, I always chit chat with my friends, and so it'll be nice to, like, kind of bring that from being, like, you know, with us and kind of bringing it with you guys. I want to have a couple, like, you know, round table type of discussions, and yeah, I want to get into that nitty gritty. So, like, there is more to come. I know, like, I know it's been a minute. We're back and better than ever. We're going to keep going. I know I had mentioned that I pushed more merch out. I did. You can actually get it off my website. I have my old merch is still available on the other website that I always link. However, you can get all my amazing merch on my website. And if you guys want to come support your girl and do all that good stuff, check it out. And yeah, I am so happy to be back. I can't wait. Hopefully I am continuing this back blown out journey. And we kick dating's ass in 2024. I love you guys and have an amazing week, guys. Mwah. Bye.